Hello and welcome everybody to our workshop today, tips to overcome perfectionism when decluttering. We'd love to hear your thoughts on perfectionism and the challenges of it in relation to decluttering and organizing at home, but also share your tips as we go along, what works well for you. We'd love to know where you're joining us from as well. So as I say, thanks for making the time to be here today. Would be a little bit boring if I was just talking to myself. So it's great to have you along. As I said just before, would love to hear what your thoughts are and what would be a good result for you today that you can focus on. What are you looking to learn? And what are your challenges with decluttering and perfectionism? Share them in the chat. Or if you'd like, you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask questions along the way. I'll introduce myself shortly, but feel free to ask questions as we go. So my business, Space and Time, is all about making conscious choices about how we use our space and our time. So it's not just doing things because everybody told us that's how we should do it. Mum taught you, dad taught you, whoever. Looking at making choices for you and your family right now in where you are right at this moment. Looking forward, as I said, I've said it a number of times, what is your intention? Pop it in the chat. What would you like to learn today? Because any changes that you're trying to make are much easier if you have a clear intention. I was just talking to a client yesterday and she said, she has the clear intention this year of simplify. So she's just found it so easy to do many things around the home that she's been trying to do in other projects she's working on with that clear intention of simplify. So what's your intention? What are you looking to learn today? And I'll also share some other tips for you to be able to continue your journey after today. We've got a program where you can join me online each week and just in a one-on-one session, and you can learn some tips along the way. So I'll share that, but also our other workshops that are coming up after today. So I'll share all of that as well. So here I am, I'm Julie Cliff. I'm a professional organizer and declutter coach. And before starting my business 10 years ago, I was an executive assistant and administrator for 20 years. So helping people get and stay organized is something that I enjoyed in the office. Met a group of professional organizers more than 10 years ago, just locally here, and I still meet with them each month. And I run a decluttering and organizing business here in Melbourne, and we have a couple of girls in Geelong. I am married with 2 boys. There's nobody else in the house today. Someone's often here when I'm at home, but they're all out doing their own thing. So I haven't even got the door shut. I could Yahoo, I could do what I like. Got the place to myself today. So that's me and our business, Space and Time, and how I came about creating the business. So today we're going to look at tips to overcome perfectionism. So we're going to have a bit of a look at mindset, some practical strategies, self-compassion to create a more balanced life at home. So we are talking about perfectionism when it comes to decluttering and organizing your home. I'm sure that if you find yourself a bit of a perfectionist, it's challenging in all aspects of your life. But today, this is what we're looking at. And we're going to have a look at how we can ease the challenge of perfectionism and enhance your household running experience. Let me have a quick look at the chat before we get going. The chat says, hello, Mary Lou, my awesome virtual assistant. Thank you for coming. Maria, always awesome to see you. Hello, Maria. And she says, I'd just like to do it. Yep, I got it. And thank you, Kasia. She says, good morning from Melbourne, interested in talking about unrealistic standards. Well, you have come to the right place. I look forward to talking about that during the session. If you've got any other things that you would like to learn today, let me know in the chat as well. So why this workshop? Why did I decide to write this one? Well, personally, you may be surprised to know I'm not a naturally organized person. When I was growing up, my nickname was Rough as Guts Mick, which meant that I'd just get in there, get it done really quick. And my dad in particular would call me that. I'd get things done, but it might be in a rush, might make a bit of a mess of things. But over the years, I've really taught myself to slow down and do things a little bit slower, so there's not so much mess. So that's yeah, as I said, I've learnt to make it a little bit simpler for myself, be realistic with how I do things. Probably a little bit of a perfectionist, which comes from my mum, but I realised a long time ago that I can't be a perfectionist. I haven't got time for that. So we'll come up with those realistic standards that Kasia was just talking about before, so we can get the jobs done quickly within the standard that you think is acceptable. But many of my clients have difficulty with their perfectionism, so they end up doing nothing. They are so worried that they're not going to get it right, they're going to make a mistake, they might waste money, that sort of thing. So we're going to talk about tips to overcome that today. And all of this, we're going to keep in mind that we only have 168 hours each week. So how much time do you want to spend decluttering and organizing your home? Or how much time would you prefer to be going out and doing something with the family, going out to shows, going to sport together, whatever you and your family value to do together? Let's get to that right level of having the house sorted to free up time to do other things. So yeah, it is personal, this one. I do get really worked up about this, as you can see. And I certainly don't mean to offend people when I'm talking about how they should or shouldn't do things, or how much time they should spend on doing something, or how perfect or how to fold things. There's no right and wrong way to manage a household. It's all about what's going to work for you and your family. And as I said before, perfectionists sometimes don't even start. As I said about my mum being a bit of a perfectionist, and she's always likes to win as well. So she wouldn't start something if she wasn't going to win, or she wasn't going to do a perfect job. So I think I learnt that just by osmosis a long time ago. But I just want you to figure out, what's a good way to get these tasks done around the home without too much worry, but at a good standard that's going to work for you and your family. So just thinking about the impact of perfectionism, what's the big deal? So we know that it can have a toll on our mental health and our physical well-being if we're ruminating a lot about not getting it right. It's not tidy enough. It doesn't look good enough. I'm going to get in trouble. Somebody's going to say something. What are the people going to say if I invite them over to my home? These can have real impact on our mental health and our well-being. But we want to share today, and I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, share in the chat, about understanding that imperfections are a part of being a human, a part of normal life. We are going to make mistakes. So that's a really important thing to think about. And striving for perfection sometimes leads to burnout and dissatisfaction, like we're feeling like we're never getting to the standard that we want. So we want to be realistic about what we're setting out to achieve. And so why is it important to you, and why you came along today? I would think that you would really understand that running a household does take effort. I have slid down a rabbit warren in recent weeks reading the Twilight Saga books, and I've never been so engrossed in a series of books before. I only just taught myself really to sit and read in recent years. So my household has taken a bit of a hit. So I know the effort that is involved, and I haven't been doing lately because I can see that our house has just slipped a little bit. It's still fine, but my whole point there is saying about how we want to manage our home, and we do need to put some time and energy into it. And not one size fits all. If you came to my house, I think you'd probably be surprised that it's not perfect. It's not a show home. We do have stuff. You know, sometimes footy boots are left out, or, you know, the boys' stuff is around the house, or my things are, or my husband's. But this is all about you and how you want to organize your home. So we will look at that shortly. And we want to be flexible, and we'll have a look at a task list in a minute about how we can get the family involved, what's important to everybody, and what things can we just cross off that list that we don't even need to do. Like, do we really need to wash our curtains? Or that was just an example off the top of my head, but there might be some things around the household that you absolutely want to do, and some that we can let go, but it's all about you. And we can choose the tasks that align with your values. You can decide when you do it. Do you make the beds? Do you not do the beds? How often do you wash the sheets? This is all about you and your family and coming up with the right thing for you. So before we kick off to the actual hands-on tips, I just wanted to share the idea of getting the family on board with this family home task list. So we can choose the tasks that are relevant to you. We can allocate it to somebody else to do. We can also define what is well done for you and your family. Is it what's good enough for you and your family? We want a bit of freedom and collaboration when it comes to getting the family on board. I've found getting the kids involved, particularly my family and other clients' family members, no one ever likes to be told what to do. So if we can get them on board and having them some input on how things get done can be really helpful. And we can also add and subtract tasks to the list as well. So I'm going to show you this list in a moment. But as I said, we can look along the idea of having a bit of a template with some flexibility. We want to have a look at why we want to do it and why it's important. And as I just said before as well, moving beyond what's traditionally acceptable. Again, we're talking about you and your family right here, right now, not how you used to do it when you were brought up and those sorts of things. What's going to work for you now? Have a look at also some intrinsic satisfaction. You know, there is really nothing like doing a job to your level of satisfaction. Like, you make the bed, if that's something you really want to spend time, have the beautiful cushions, it's all neat and tidy. If that's something that you want to do, you know, knock yourself out. But if there's no time and somebody's still running around looking for their missing shoe before you run out the door to get to school, maybe that's not so important, but we'll talk about that as well. And also have purposeful actions, like being very deliberate with how we're using our time when it comes to decluttering and organizing our homes. So let me just have another quick look at the chat before we move on. Thanks, Mary Lou, for sharing that task list. Let me just flick back because come back. Which way is back? No, that's forwards. Go away. I want to try and get, oh, here we go. I couldn't get to my little clicker. So can't get to the bottom to get my link. Here we are. Is that the link? Yes, here we are. Sorry, I missed that before because it was hiding behind the menu. This is the task list that I was referring to, and Mary Lou has just put the link to it in the chat. So this is looking at how we can come up with our things to do around the home and to a good acceptable level for you and your home. Let me see if I can zoom in on it a little bit. Zoom. Maybe I can't. Anyway, let me scroll.
We can zoom in.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks, Maria. So we're looking at some daily tasks that you can do around the house to help you be organized and stay on top of the clutter, decluttering and organizing. So with making the beds, do you want to do it or not? So you can go yes or no. And what does well done mean? You know, can we just pull the doona up and that's good enough? Or does it have to be, you know, nurses' corners and all the rest of it? So you and your family can sit down with this task list and figure it all out. Wipe down kitchen counters and dining table. That's something that we do at my house each and every night. Wash dishes and unload and load the dishwasher. That's something we do it every day. Sweep and vacuum high traffic areas for us. I pay my son Charlie to do that each week. Put away items that are out of place. That's something that sort of just comes naturally. So we can go through this list. As I said, Mary Lou put the link in the chat. Print it off, have a look. It might just be helpful for you and your family to decide what are the important things to help you be organized in your home and when you're keeping up with the maintenance of decluttering, and to come with that standard that is good for you and your family. Do you want to do it for a start? Yes, no. And what does well done mean for you? What's good enough? What's the standard? What's acceptable? So have a bit of a look at that list. Let me go back to the thingies. Here we are. We did that one. So we are going to have a look at, awesome. Let's get back to the tips. So as I said today, we are looking at overcoming our perfectionism when it comes to decluttering and organizing our homes, making it easier. We want to set these realistic expectations, which can hopefully help us with our perfectionism. So if we know by using that household task list what should be done and what shouldn't be done, well, that might be really helpful for us. We know what our goals are, we know what we're aiming towards, and we know on the perfect scale what sort of level we want to get to so that we're not doing everything perfectly because, as I said, 168 hours a week. You could spend 168 hours a week managing your household and cleaning it from top to toe every week. But, you know, we do have other things to do. We do need to sleep. We need to go to work. We've got other family and friends that we want to hang out with. So up to you how we're using our time. So the second point there says prioritize essential tasks over everything being flawless. So again, you choose what you want to do and to what level, and identify tasks that truly matter and focus on those ones, just so that we can free up time for those important things. Because, you know, doing the right things well is important, but doing all the other things at all or doing all the other things that aren't so important perfectly is probably just a bit of a waste of time. All right, let's have a look at the idea when it comes to tackling your perfectionism. It's the idea of delegating tasks. So you can share the concept of not just you running the household. So talk to your family about tasks that they can take on. There might be some things that you love to do. Like I normally pack and unpack the dishwasher. I just find it's easier. I get it done. I can do it in less than 2 minutes. You know, the time that it takes a coffee machine to make my coffee, the dishwasher can be empty, which means that people can just put things in straight away. But that might be a task that you want to delegate to somebody else in your household. Maybe you don't have a dishwasher. Maybe you all have that task together and nobody leaves the kitchen until those dishes are done. So what can they help out with and in relation to the household tasks? And also, if someone in the household can't do it, consider outsourcing chores. So maybe you might want a housekeeper or a cleaner. If you have a double income family and your finances allow you to, you know, getting some of that outside help might be really valuable so that you are freed up to do those important things that you do and what you're good at. So you could be delegating tasks within the home or even getting people from outside to come in as well. when we delegate tasks to other people, the load is released a little bit. It might take a little bit of practice as well for you to let the tasks go. Good practice for us to allow people to do it their way. I remember my auntie, her mum would visit her. Excuse me. So that's my grandma. My grandma would be visiting my auntie. Grandma would put things out on the washing line, being very helpful. And my aunt would come back and rehang it because she liked things hung in a particular way. So as I'm saying, sometimes we need to practice letting go of tasks because there are more than one way of doing things in the household. We've had various games and tasks at our professional organisers meetings. And it's like, oh, here, girls, organise this. And there's all sorts of different ways that things can be done. So it's good for us to be able to let these tasks go and delegate them to somebody else. Good practice for us, but it also should free us up to be doing some other things that we want to do. This third tip is probably one of my favorite things to talk to people about, is actually making time to get these things done. So establishing routines and systems, and we're talking about easy systems, not something that needs pages and pages of explanation or spreadsheets. We want just easy, simple routines and systems around the home for cleaning, for organizing, shopping and meal planning, and get them on the weekly planner. Mary Lou will share that in a second so that you can also have your own copy. And so we've got a bit of a structured approach to when things are done, allocate some time and try and stick to that time as well. Like, I'm going to give myself half an hour to get around the house and vacuum it all. So if you did that regularly, I think you'd probably get a lot of the house done, depending on your house. Maria, you could probably run it around your house a couple of times in
5
half
minutes.
an hour. So have a think about allocating some time and stick to it so that you're not overthinking it, you're not overcomplicating it, and you're not being too much of a perfectionist about vacuuming your home, for example. And the other idea about these routines and systems is you don't have to think about it. I know that on Thursday afternoon, I'm going to do blah. Sunday morning, I'm going to clean the bathroom, whatever it might be. And that frees up, again, some more brain space to be doing other things because we've got it allocated in our calendar when we're going to be doing these things. We're making time for the tasks. It's not like, oh, how am I going to fit it in? We know that we can because we've already got it on the weekly planner. And I also wanted to talk about practicing self-care in relation to perfectionism and using that planner as well to making sure that we are putting time in for ourselves, for our own activities, maybe exercise, hobbies, spending time with loved ones. Because we're no good to anybody if we're exhausted, if we're overwhelmed, if we're, all this rumination is exhausting us. So again, put those things in that weekly planner as well and stick to it as though it is a doctor's appointment or a specialist appointment. So every Tuesday, I'm going to go to Pilates or whatever. Or for me, it's every morning, 5:35, the alarm goes off and I get up and I jump around like a idiot in front of YouTube doing some aerobics type dance workouts, particularly awesome on a morning like I think it was 4 degrees this morning here in Melbourne. So prioritize that stuff, get it in the calendar. If it's not in the calendar, it won't happen because everything else just gets pushed up above us and our own needs because so important to be able to look after ourselves so that we've got more energy to be able to do those important things and more energy to do the household tasks. Like I said, with not allocating time, having managing a home does take time and energy. So we are talking about some ways here to make that simpler, like allocating tasks to other people, but we really do need to look after ourselves as well, practice our self-care. And again, being mindful about perfectionist tendencies there. Oh, I can't go to yoga because I haven't got the right pants, or whatever it might be. Practice yourself, just get yourself there, work with what you've got and get it done to the best of your ability. As I'm speaking as well, if you really do find yourself with some challenges, maybe you have been diagnosed with OCD or something like that, it's slightly different to some of these tips that I'm giving you. Hopefully you've got some professionals you can talk to about your OCD sort of behaviors. So some of these tips are general in nature, but make sure you're talking to experts as well if you do feel like you've got some additional mental health things that you need some support with. Sorry, I keep moving into the light and that's coming through my blind there. All right, let's look at tip 5, embracing perfectionism. How are we going for time? Good. Accept imperfection as a normal aspect of life, because as I said before, there's so many different ways of doing things. What is perfect anyway? What does perfect mean? So maybe we're striving for something that doesn't even exist. So we want to know that we're going to make mistakes. We know that we're going to get things wrong. Maybe we might do something bit strange at times. We want to know that that's all perfectly normal, and we're just doing our best. We also understand that imperfections don't define our worth as well as a homemaker or as a person. Just because your home isn't a show home, it doesn't mean that you're not a very good or worthy person. That is something that you are doing, running your household, but that doesn't define who you are. Hope that there's a lot more to you. I'm sure there is. But also embrace imperfections to reduce stress and increase contentment. It's like, oh yeah, I know I'm going to make a few mistakes along the way, and that's okay, and just accept that and be at peace with it and know that that is going to be the case. So taking the pressure off ourselves by embracing our imperfectionism. How about challenging our thoughts as tip number 6? So recognize that perfectionist thoughts and question their necessity. Like, who said? Who told you? Why should you do that? Who told you that's how it should be done? When you've got some things coming up in your mind, have a good think about it. If you're absolutely convinced that, yes, this is how I want to do things, yeah, knock yourself out. Go for it. Make time for it. Make time for you to work at that level that you want to do, and get everybody on board to help you with that. But really question and challenge those thoughts. As I said, we're talking about setting you up right here, right now, not how you used to do things 10, 20 years ago when you were a teenager. We're talking about right now and challenging your thoughts on how things should or shouldn't be done. And as I said, allocate time and energy where it truly matters. Also, if you have some other challenges in your life with battling fatigue or injury, illness, you know, we only have so many spoons. We only have so much energy to be able to allocate to things within the home. Some stuff might need to wait for now. Maybe we might get to them. Maybe we might not. So just challenge those thoughts, but allocate the time and energy in the weekly planner, like I said before, for those important things. Like, yes, the children need to eat. Okay, so I do need to go grocery shopping. Or do I need to go to the supermarket? Can I order our groceries to be delivered? So really taking stock of your time and your energy. And let go of striving for perfectionism in non-essential areas. So really having a think of getting those tasks done, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And this self-compassion tip number 7, is similar to self-care, but slightly different. We're talking about being kind and forgiving to yourself. Again, accepting the things that we can and can't control, accepting that how we want to do things in our home. It is our home. It doesn't belong to anybody else. Your mother-in-law, your mum, your grandma, your kids might be saying that you should do things in a certain way. Be kind to yourself and forgiving to yourself as well. And understand that mistakes are a natural part of growth, particularly if we're doing something new. We are going to muck it up. We do make mistakes, but try not to make the mistakes too many times. Try and learn from those mistakes and think, oh, how can I avoid that? Or if that mistake does happen again, how am I going to respond to it? So give yourself a bit of grace and self-compassion. And treat yourself with compassion to improve your mental well-being. We'll often find that people's inner monologue is very strong, saying, do this, do that. Oh, you're hopeless, you're useless, you're a messy person. Start telling yourself that you are an organized person. And I am doing a good job. I'm trying my best. I am improving. And as I said, I am an organized person. And really give yourself a good pat on the back and the times that you are doing things around the home with your decluttering and your organizing that moves you closer to your goal. And practice those thoughts and those that inner monologue, because sometimes we really are bashing ourselves up more than anybody is from externally. Let's have a look at tip 8, which is seek support. So I was saying before, this is definitely important if you have some other mental health challenges or health challenges, OCD, any other diagnosis that you have, to be able to reach out to friends and family or support groups for encouragement. So, but even so, even if you haven't got any of those challenges going on, just the busyness, the complexity of daily life really calls for some support. So it could be support within the family, outside the family, outside support, online groups, online, say Facebook group, something like that. If you need some help in any of these areas, reach out and be with like-minded people that are also working towards improving these things. As I said, learn from others who have overcome perfectionism, and sharing experiences creates a sense of community and shared strategies that can be really important. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not the only one that's feeling like this, or I'm not the only one that struggles with these sorts of things. And that camaraderie can be really helpful. It starts to take the pressure off a little bit and help you when you're looking at those important things to you and your family as well. Just let me have a quick look at the chat before I start to sum up. Thank you, Mary Lou, for putting those the weekly planner in. I highly recommend for people to have a look at that weekly planner, or use your Google Calendar or your diary to really plan out some of these tasks and make, decluttering and organizing an important part of what you're trying to do, and even some time to work on your perfectionist tendencies. Whether it's listening to a podcast about it or getting some actual professional advice about it. Use your weekly planner to help you manage all of these things that we've got going on. So we're going to start to wrap up. So have a think about if I've missed anything. We've been talking about generally organizing the home, which was and all the tasks that are involved. But if there's something that I've missed, let me know in the chat, and we can still address it today. So overall, our ultimate goal is to embrace imperfection to create a comfortable and functional space. So the idea here as well, to be able to embrace that, can be really helpful when we are actually physically doing the decluttering. We've got a really clear idea on what we're trying to achieve. We know that we don't want a perfect house. Maybe you do. If you do, that takes a little bit more work, like a show home type thing. Or maybe it's like, I'm going to embrace that there are going to be some challenges when I'm doing my decluttering. So that will be helpful to steer you along your decluttering journey. So we can keep that in mind as we're starting to tackle the clutter. So also shift our focus from perfection to an enjoyable and balanced household. So again, that might help you if you're in your craft room and you've got walls and walls and walls of crafting equipment and stuff. Maybe you might be thinking, oh, okay, this is a little bit too much stuff here, because I really do enjoy being with the family. We could always figure out a way to embrace both. Maybe we could do craft with the family, or it might be, oh, okay, so there is way too much here. Maybe I can let some of it go because I want to spend some more time on other things with my family, and that'll free up this space that I've got here to do something else with them. So you can start to use some of these tasks that we've been talking about today when we're on our decluttering journey, because we've got a clear idea that we've been talking about today, how we want our home to look and feel, particularly how it works as well with that task list that we looked at before, can really be helpful with our decluttering. So as I said there, the goal is a harmonious home, not a flawlessly perfect home. Again, if you do want your home to look like that, knock yourself out. But we realize that we only have so many hours in the week, so we can get clear on what our ultimate goal is for our home, which will also help us be thinking about our perfectionist tendencies and whether it's worth doing a particular job or task to that perfect degree when we're starting to do our decluttering. So all the way today, we've been talking about embracing our imperfections and prioritizing essential tasks realistically. So if we know that an essential task for us is cooking a meal at home each night, we want to get the family on board. We can also start to do the decluttering and organizing around those essential tasks. We know that having less stuff in the kitchen is going to make it easier for us to be able to find things and be able to do our decluttering. And we've got some really good standards that we've been talking about today to help us on our decluttering and organizing journey. We also spoke about sharing responsibilities and establishing structured routines for reduced stress. So it's, again, thinking about what those important things are, getting them in the calendar and knowing to what level we're going to do them, and also having a bit of flexibility with how they're done if you're getting other members of the family to do them. But also prioritizing our personal well-being and challenge perfectionist thoughts and practice. We were speaking about that. If we've got some really strong ideas in our mind, where did those thoughts come from? And how can we work with them, or how can we overcome them if they are really getting in our way? It's like, oh, I just want to make the bed. It's like, well, just practice, just doing it imperfectly, and allowing yourself to do it in that particular way because you have chosen to just pull up the doona and not worry about the hospital corners and arranging all the pillows. You have made that choice. We also spoke about seeking support and encouragement and learning from others. So if you join an online group or a Facebook group, something like that, you would see that others too are struggling with some of these things in relation to perfectionist tendencies. As I said, our aim is for a comfortable, functional household without the weight of perfection. So, as I said, we've still got a little bit of time. So I'm going to let you know what things we've got coming up to be able to help you along your decluttering journey. But if I miss something in particular, let me know in the chat. I'm going to have a look at that in a second. And we can certainly come off mute and ask questions in a second. And hopefully we can share some more thoughts. So our next workshop in 2 weeks' time is time management for busy people. So we're going to be talking about a few of these things that we spoke about today, particularly the weekly planner and prioritizing important tasks, important projects in our life. So come along to that one if you're free in 2 weeks' time at the same time. And then 2 weeks after that, we're going to look at keepsakes declutter. So it's all about sentimental items. It's about gifts. It's about photos, memorabilia. So if you have trouble with any of those things, come along to that one. And then just as a thank you for coming along today, I'm happy to have a quick 15-minute chat on Zoom. And then we can help you along your decluttering and organizing journey. And let me have a look at the chat. Let me stop my share. Where have we gone? Chat. Chat says, hello, chat. Rebecca says, I found that when I lowered my expectations, life became much easier. Thanks, Rebecca, for sharing that. I really appreciate that, and it makes so much sense. We're not saying in all of this, don't care about anything, and it's any effort is a waste of time. That's not what we're saying, is it? It's talking about finding that right expectation, that right level for you. And as Rebecca said, it certainly can make life easier. Thanks for sharing. Mary Lou has shared the links to our upcoming workshops, which is time management for busy people, keepsakes declutter, and also there's the link if you want to have a chat, a 15-minute clarity call. Gosh, it felt like the lights just went out. The sun went behind the clouds. It got very dark there all of a sudden. And we've got to get 6 weeks to get and stay focused coaching program. If you need some help, it's a program, 6 weeks online, you and me, looking at how we can set your priorities, make time to get these important things done. And it's a 1-hour session each week, get and stay focused coaching. So the link's there as well if you need some help, some accountability for you to set up those important things in your life and need some help to stay on track. What did I miss? Any other questions? Feedback? What was the highlight? Thank you all for coming. As I said, we've got those workshops coming up. We will send a recording for this one out tonight. So you've got a recording of that as well. But there's lots of different ones on our YouTube channel as well that share different projects. Thank you. I've got a clap of hands there. Somebody, you are welcome. So there's lots of resources there if there's other topics that you're having difficulties with. Others, decluttering your kitchen, decluttering in general. So if there's more tips that you like, have a look at that. But otherwise, if there's no other questions, look forward to seeing you at the next session. I hope those tips have been helpful to help you know how you want to manage your household, which I think will then work out into how you go about your decluttering and organizing the home, because you've got a really good picture in your mind on how you want it all to go. So Thanks so much all for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Maria. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Dola.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sonia. Thanks, Mary Lou, Kasha, Rebecca, Fran. Thank you all so much. We'll see you soon.